right, well, let's get started. Hi, everybody. My name is Lisa Wright, and I'm from a small training studio in South Texas, Your Personal Best, and I am honored and pleasured to introduce Mandy Shintani. She's going to be speaking on why Nordic Walking is the treatment approach in Canada for improving mobility, posture, and balance for Parkinson's. Mandy has been an occupational therapist for 30 plus years and is a gerontologist. She is an international conference speaker on walking poles for rehabilitation and recently presented at the International 200 Years of Parkinson's Disease Conference in Australia, among several other conferences, with over 5,500 therapists and wellness professionals worldwide who have completed the courses she developed. These courses are CCU approved in the USA with Pro Cert, ACSM, ACE, FAI, and 9 other associations in Canada. 15 years ago, with her skills as an OT, she developed the evidence-based activator poles that are patented and technique specifically for rehabilitation, which are the focus of 15 current independent studies. She has been featured numerous times in media and was a finalist in the prestigious YWCA Women of Distinction Award for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. So welcome, Mandy. I'm going to pass the host to Mandy, and I'll be on standby for your numerous questions that I know you're going to have for her. Thank you, Mandy.
Great. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Oh, sorry, it just says when I'm trying to share my screen. Oh, perfect. Okay, if everyone can just give me 1 minute, I'm just going to share my screen here. So thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you so much to FAI for this opportunity to do this presentation. So as mentioned very quickly, I am an OT and gerontologist. I founded Urban Poling, and I'm coming to you from my living room here in North Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. I'm really excited to do this presentation today. While the Nordic walking poles are being used here for all sorts of conditions, I have to say the people who email me the most are people who have Parkinson's, and they often use the word life-changing. So I would say the greatest use of our poles are for those with hip and knee OA, but the people who actually contact us directly have overwhelmingly been people with Parkinson's. And it is best practices here in Canada and abroad for Parkinson's rehab. And I just want to mention that, as mentioned, that we are going to have a Q&A afterwards. Please put in any comments during the time I'm giving the presentation. I'd love to hear from people too, like do you do Nordic walking or urban poling yourself? Please let me know in the chat button, do you already use it for clinical practice? And if so, have you, maybe you could let the rest of us know what are the changes that you have noticed for it. But I'm assuming because this is a fairly new activity to the USA in terms of for fitness and rehabilitation, that for a lot of you, this may be a new concept. So let's just go back to the beginning. The whole concept of using walking poles or Nordic walking was really introduced to me by my Swedish neighbor. I think we can agree that the Swedes represent one of the healthiest cohorts on the planet. I wanted to find out what were they doing. And I was studying for my gerontology degree at the time, so that's the study of aging. And my neighbor said, that in Sweden, they simply just walk, but also that they use walking poles as part of their culture. So it doesn't matter whether they are a preschooler, yeah, they start them as early as preschool, a working mom, an older adult, people there use Nordic walking poles as part of their culture. So I'd never heard of that here in Canada. And when I looked at the research, I was blown away because there are 300 independent studies on PubMed, our resource for great quality research, and 18 studies have been done directly on Parkinson's. And what I found is that every time I go to PubMed, that number rapidly increases. There is a worldwide interest in Nordic Walking. It is recognized by the International Physiotherapy Association as well. So, as I mentioned, I was very excited because the key goals that I noticed that it did for Parkinson's rehab is, you got the support on both sides of your body, so improves balance. When you push down on the ledge, I'm going to keep harping away to you about this, the importance or the value of the ledge. Is that it actually forces you more into an upright position. So as you know, for a lot of our clients who have Parkinson's, they've got that kyphotic posture, the stooped posture, the shuffling gait pattern. And this actually forces them to stand more upright. They're not looking down as much. It improves all aspects of walking. They walk faster. The stride length is bigger. It normalizes their pattern. You'll see when you see it, it just improves their speed and their coordination. The pole kind of pushes you forward. As you push down on the ledge, what you'll notice as well is that is actually pushing your client forward, and they just get into a nice rhythm. But I'll show you some videos so you can see that. And of course, as an OT, we're obsessed with fall prevention, so factors for fall prevention. So what I did was I brought poles from all over the world, and we looked at how do you develop techniques and a design that is safer and more effective for Parkinson's rehab. Our activator pole is what we developed for those with different chronic conditions. And again, as I mentioned earlier, it's the ledge that you're going to press down for balance, for posture, normalizing the gait pattern, and core strength. So I've talked a lot about what are our goals as instructors and therapists, but of course, what I really want to focus on is what is the most important goals for your clients, like how through understanding and attending this presentation, are you going to come out with outcomes that are really important to your clients? And so throughout the years, the feedback that I've gotten from people who've got Parkinson's is that they want to feel just more confident when they walk. They want to have something that allows them to get out there and socialize. And of course, right now during the pandemic, there's just been an unprecedented interest in outdoor activities. So they want to be, of course, be able to access the outside. A lot of them told me too that, if they're retired, they want to be able to do travel or day trips. They want to know like how to prevent falls and feel less fearful about falling, how to stay active, walking ability, and also just feeling good. I mean, there's a lot of with any chronic condition, as we know, there are, our mood can change, and there are times when, like all of us, people with Parkinson's can feel depressed, and of course, they want to also have a positive self-image. So I thought this was a great testimony I'm going to have you listen to. Let me introduce you. This is Larry Guilford. A lot of you guys may already know Larry. He runs I would say, one of the most well-known podcasts for those who have Parkinson's and their caregivers. It's called When Life Gives You Parkinson's. It is through Parkinson's Canada, but he's also the host for the Michael J. Fox Foundation podcast. If you get a chance or you want to refer a podcast to your client, I know there's several out there. This one is excellent because he also has his wife there as well. So you get to hear the perspective from Larry and his wife. And so Larry fell quite a few times in about 6 months. So he did a podcast session just on how to prevent falls. And let's hear what Larry had to say when I had given him the activator poles to try out for a few months.
The activator poles should be called confidence poles.
I love that.
Because it really is for at least for me, it's what gives me the confidence to go into a crowd, to go through an airport, to go on a hike, to take a longer walk. Like it gives me enough certainty to say yes. So thank you for making them.
Oh, well, thank you.
So I love what Larry had to say there. I can say yes to, so many activities that he wants to do in his daily life. Here's another one from Rob. And Rob said he called it a game changer. He said, so I bought a pair of activator poles and walked and walked and walked. My brain has developed a new neurological pathway for walking and other notable improvements in stride, speed, mood, an absolutely game-changing experience. I just wanted to say thank you. So today, I've given you an introduction. I'm going to talk to you very briefly about some of the research, but just related to Parkinson's. I'm going to teach you the Activator Technique for balance. So just want to let you know, there are different techniques. There's one for your client that really, is maybe more in the mid-stage of Parkinson's. They just really want to feel safe walking again. You want to improve just their overall walking ability. And then there are those clients that are more in the early stages where, of course, we want to bring up that intensity. We want to over-exaggerate their walking ability. They really want to more focus on exercise, staying active, minimizing those small movements. I'm going to show you how using walking poles are an excellent tool for your seated and standing exercises, for making your exercises more fun, engaging the person more, but overall, for the same benefits of just walking: balance, confidence, better movement, use of that weaker side. And then, of course, I'll give you a summary. I will very briefly talk about training and where to access the activator poles, and then we'll open up to a Q&A. Okay, so let's go back to the basics. What is, we've coined Nordic Walking as urban poling here in Canada. And basically, it's a fitness activity to begin with. And your upper body looks somewhat similar to cross-country skiing. That's why there's so many health benefits, because cross-country skiing provides one of the highest, if not the highest, cardiovascular workouts. But for your lower body, your client is just walking on sidewalks. Actually, you can use them inside, hiking. So in the simplest terms, if you see this couple here, you're simply just walking with specialized poles. But what your client is getting is that cardiovascular workout, but also balance, strength training. And as I said, great way just to get outside right now. So let's kind of take a look at what does it look like in a group situation. Okay, so I just wanted to open up with just showing you what the actual fitness activity looks like. And hopefully you got the idea from there that you can turn, walking into brisk walking or power walking, and it's just a lot of fun. It's a great activity to do in a group, particularly I would say in the US, because it's fairly new. People will just feel really comfortable if you're able to show it to them in a group situation. People won't feel as shy about trying it out if there's others around. So I would highly recommend that as a way to introduce it to your clients, either one-to-one or a group situation. Okay, so let's just do some comparison to walking alone. So walking is a great activity. I love to walk. You're primarily using your lower extremity muscles, whereas when you use poles, you are now using up to 75 to 90% of your muscles. And of course, a great bonus right now for your clients or for all of us during from the pandemic is that you actually burn 20 to 46% more calories compared to walking alone. It's also very effective for core strengthening. So a lot of us recognize that, core strengthening is really key for that, person's ability to walk, and of course, ability to transfer, sit to stand. That often makes the difference between someone being able to stay at home safely or not, and just overall health. So what I'd like to do is I find a lot of instructors and therapists really get the other benefits. Core strengthening, how is that achieved? So I'm going to get you to do a quick demonstration with me that you can just do at home. You don't need the poles. I'm going to use a pole so you can kind of get an idea how it works with the poles. But what I'm going to have you do is, let me just take myself here for 1 second. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is, can you just put your hand out as if you're giving me a friendly handshake? That's the actual technique that you would use for the fitness activity. And can you just land it on top of your desk or the back of a chair? And I'm going to just press here on my handle. And so with every step that you take, you're actually going to push down on that ledge as you step through. So can you push down on your table or your back of your chair like I'm pushing down on this ledge? And hopefully what you feel is a contraction happening in your abdominal muscles. And what you can also sort of feel it in your pecs, your lats, your arms, your spinal erector muscles. Remember how I mentioned earlier, it targets 75 to 90% of your muscles? That's how it does it, is that every step you're pressing down. So let's say, okay, what does that translate to? Well, if your client were just to walk 1 mile, that would be 1,800 steps. That would be 1,800 contractions in your abdominal muscles. So it's not just about walking, and I'm going to show you how it really improves people's walking ability. It's also about core strengthening. Okay, let's jump into the research. So, as I mentioned earlier, there are 18 studies that have been done on Parkinson's alone. And this is one group that I usually talk about during conferences because it's got 3 different control groups. So one group did walking, one group did balance and flexibility, exercises, and one group used Nordic walking poles. So everybody improved. Pain, balance, quality of life. However, if you look at the Nordic walking group, improved posture or posture stability. They had a bigger stride length, so that, bigger movements. Their gait pattern and gait variability improved. So why does gait variability matter? Because what the research shows is that the more you can normalize the way that your client walks, the less likely they are going to be for falls. And a lot of people have asked me, do the effects last after they're poling? And so I haven't seen studies on that, but I would say from my own observations, I have noticed there is absolutely an improvement in walking ability, particularly if you use it as a teachable tool. So for example, what I mean by that is, while that person's poling and they've got that nice big arm swing, that bigger stride, that you indicate to your client that you are using the poles to also teach them the way that you want them to walk, whether they're poling or not. And this is Bill Truin. He's given us a testimonial. He actually did 23 half marathons using our poles. He had early to mid-stage Parkinson's. And he said, I noticed the benefits stayed with me for several hours after poling. Okay, so back to the research. This was done on physical therapy in Parkinson's disease, a meta-analysis of many different studies. They found overall Nordic walking improved balance and gait training. And here is a gait assessment lab that is from the Jewish General Hospital in Montreal, Quebec. And basically, this is Barbara. She's had some balance issues. She's had several falls previously. And this is Matt actually gauges her walking or gait pattern. So let's just take a look at what it looks like for Barbara just walking alone. And so what you can see right away from the video is she's got that penguin walk. She's walking very wide because she's worried about falling, small steps. She's walking very flat-footed. And this figure 8 is looking at her gait variability, in which you can see that there is a lot. So one thing I talk a lot about the importance of walking flat-footed is because as an occupational therapist, as I mentioned, we are obsessed with falls. And one of the most common reasons why people fall, particularly in the middle of the night, is that they're walking very flat-footed, and their foot gets caught on changes from the rug to the linoleum, or objects in the ground, or the outside, clipping their foot and changing in terrain, but also cracks in the sidewalk. And the more we can teach our clients or give them the confidence to raise up their feet, that's going to mean they're going to lower risk for falls. Okay, so that's what I mean here is, take a look here. When you look at Barbara, you can see she's actually lifting and clearing the ground as she walks. Right away, look at this stride length, how that's changed. This is less gait variability, and she is walking at an increased speed, and she's normalizing the way that she's walked. She's not going as wide. So overall, the results show that increased speed by 37%, her step length by 62%, and it reduced gait variability. This is a study that was done on fall prevention. It was done directly with our activator poles and community dwelling older adults with chronic conditions. And this is a group that did walking once a week with the poles, and they did seated and standing exercises. And what they found after 3 months is that these 3 tests, the tug, stride length, single leg stork stand, which are all indicators for falls risk, there was a significant change. And just speaking of falls risk, I just got this photo and testimonial from Debbie from Israel. And she said, I want to let you know how much I enjoyed using the activator poles. I live in a very crowded inner city neighborhood with uneven sidewalks and streets. And as a result, I have a lot of difficulty keeping my balance while going for a walk. When I walk with my poles, I'm not afraid of falling, and I am able to take larger strides with my head held high. Back to the research, as I mentioned, it is using walking poles. So this is strictly studies that have been done on mental health, comparison to walking alone. And what they found was increased patients' physical activity improved their mood, less fatigue, decreased depression and anger compared to walking alone. It is also used in Canada as an effective option to canes, and also to reduce or delay the use of walkers. You can see here that when people use a cane, you're leaning to one side. Your wrist is now in a hyperextended position on a cane, which places the greatest amount of stress. But you can see here, change in posture, change in gait pattern. Whereas when you're using walking poles, you are upright, and it is mimicking the same pattern as regular walking, which is opposite arm and leg. Of course, with the walker, we've got the stooped posture. We've got zero arm swing. It's cumbersome. It doesn't lend itself to a large stride. And then, of course, there's also the self-image. This is Dr. Jack Taunton. He is our Chief Medical Officer for the 2010 Olympics. And he's had 7 spinal surgeries. And just what he loves about using walking poles is that he was a professional marathon runner, and he doesn't want to be seen around town using a walker or cane. You know, that whole self-image of being athletic and active is really important to him, as well as he's found in terms of just overall posture and balance compared to other modalities. So I have talked to you a lot about the benefits of it, but I want to mention absolutely there are contraindications. And of course, you need to do your own assessment, or if you're an instructor, there are times then you should absolutely confer with a rehab professional or physical therapist. And in those cases, particularly if your client is already using a walker or cane, probably best to see a physical therapist to determine if the walking poles are appropriate. And it may not be recommended. I put here not recommended, but some physical therapists, depending on their assessment, may determine that it is appropriate. But generally, I would say if your client has dyskinesia or ataxia, I found that could be more of a tripping hazard. People who are at the mid to later stages, you definitely want to have them assessed first to determine whether they are appropriate candidates. And the other thing too is it doesn't always have to be a all or nothing situation. We absolutely have lots of therapists who have decided that the person will continue to use a cane or their walker as their primary walking device, but they may be able to use the poles during the session for daily exercise, seated and standing exercises, and so keep their sessions really active, but at the same time feel that it may be best for them to continue on with using their walker as their primary walking tool. Okay, so I would like to introduce you to now the activator poles and the technique. So the technique that we designed for balance. So the ways that we changed the design for rehabilitation is, I had mentioned earlier that and showing you, is that it is a ergonomic handle. So the whole idea behind it is that it doesn't matter how much you're pressing down on the ledge, your wrist is going to be maintained in a functional or neutral position. So if you need to press down for that balance, that core strengthening, that offloading, you're going to have your wrist, your client is going to have their wrist maintained in that neutral position. And again, it's not by a tight grip, it's actually by a loose grip, and it's a downward push. And if your client says to you, you know what, I didn't really notice any difference for core strengthening, or, I don't feel like this is it's not helping enough for balance. It may turn out that it's not going to provide them with enough balance. But the first thing that I would check is, are they actually putting a downward force? Because that's really what allows people to weight bear onto the pole, okay? Not through that tight grip. And a lot of people ask us, why did we not put straps on? And what the research has found by Dr. Knobloch in 2006, this is probably one of the largest scale studies that have been done on Nordic Walking injuries. And what he found was that overall, Nordic Walking is safe for the general public. However, most injuries occur during a fall when the user is still attached to the pole. So if the pole gets caught, or the person, trips or stumbles, they're still attached to the pole, and then they go down. The most common injury is the skier thumb injury. Other changes we did was we made it a button lock, because that holds up to 200 pounds per pole. And that allows people to have the opportunity to use it as an option to canes and to delay or reduce the use of walkers. So what I found is that There are other good quality poles around, but the challenge with a turning lock system that are found in a lot of poles is that a lot of people with Parkinson's don't have the grip strength to turn it and secure it to the point that it has that weight bearing capacity. Cheap poles can have as little as a weight bearing capacity up to as low as 40 pounds, which means if they put 40 pounds on the pole for weight bearing, the pole is going to slide. So I always cringe when people just say, you know, just go get something cheap at Walmart or Costco. You know, this is a tool that we are using with our clients for walking ability and rehabilitation and fitness. And I think it's really important that they do use something that is effective and safe. Now, underneath is a carbide steel tip that they can use for just trails, beaches, winter conditions. And then the bell-shaped tip is what kind of forces it to a vertical position for greater balance. So the activator technique is quite different from what I showed you earlier, right? So that just to reinforce again, there's the fitness activity of Nordic walking. We've coined it as urban poling here in Canada. That is for fitness. This one is about balance. It's about, you know, really just improving your client's walking ability when they're more in, you know, closer to the mid stage of Parkinson's, when walking ability and confidence is really important. And how this is different is that the elbow is actually bent and the pole is vertical, okay? And vertical because what the research shows is that when a pole is vertical, there is greater ability to weight bear onto the pole and also to offload off hips and knees. So let's just take a look at a client who has Parkinson's and is using the activator technique. That she is using with that poles. Right there, look at that leg stride that she's got as well. So you can see there, hopefully you saw in action too, what it looked like for the activator technique. Elbows bent, pole is vertical, okay? That's kind of the foundation. Now I'm going to talk to you about the urban poling technique. Okay, so again, this is more the fitness activity. And why would you use it for your clients in the earlier stage? Because this exercises is going to come when you have them working at 80% of their maximum heart rate. Okay, So let's just take a look. Right now, what you can do if you have the activator poles, I just want to mention, you don't have to get a different type. You can actually add on this boot-shaped tip. So the difference in the pole design is that with a Nordic Walking pole, it does come with these boot-shaped tips, which actually throw you forward as you're walking. So let's take a look at it in action. So I'm just going to stop it right there. And so you can just see the difference. Arm is straight and pole is diagonal. So those are, I mean, there is more to the technique, but those are sort of the key foundation steps. And wow, look at that leg stride. Look at the arm stride, arm swing. And of course, you saw how these ladies were really just booting it along. I think that's one of the really neat things about this activity is that you can really customize it to what your client wants. And if they really want to bring up that intensity, you know, hopefully in this video, you saw the amount of speed that can be gained when utilizing the poles. So as I mentioned earlier, you know, using walking poles can also enable people to just be able to be more active in other areas. We've had a lot of clients say that they're able to, you know, travel and do some day trips. It's easier to utilize the poles than some of the other devices such as walkers. They can walk on trails or uneven terrain. They feel like they've got more confidence for their balance on uneven terrain. And I've had some instructors say that they'll do a lot of practicing on different terrain to help people actually improve their balance. So it can be a training tool that you use on different terrain, but going on beaches, as I mentioned, on sand, here in Canada, of course, in our winter conditions, falls generally occur much more in the wintertime for outside. And we'll just tell people to leave the poles right by their doorway because falls most commonly happen actually just in your house or around your house, just getting into the car, getting your mail. So just having it by their doorstep has been a really good fall prevention technique as well. And as you can see too, it's just a way to stay social and active outside. We've had a lot of caregivers join in. Of course, that always makes people feel more comfortable when they're out in their community as well. Okay, now I would like to talk to you now about seated and standing exercises. So there are so many benefits to adding poles for seated and standing exercises. Again, you can really facilitate bigger movements, which I'm going to show you in a few minutes. And you can go much when you're leaning Right. Can you hear me again? For some reason, I got booted out of the presentation for a minute. Okay, it says working again for me. Okay, great.
Mandy, I can hear you. I can hear you definitely.
Okay,
This
my
is
apologies. I think it seemed like the internet connection there just went out for a minute. So, and can you see the screen okay as well?
I can see your screen. I can't see the other participants, which is interesting, but I'll try to monitor that on my end here.
Okay, I see that everyone is here still, and I just saw in the chat button
Okay,
that
perfect.
people are still on. So, okay. So, my apologies, everyone. Okay. So hopefully what you saw is that I was just talking about posture. It makes the exercises less abstract, more concrete than just saying lift up your poles. You can say, then just saying lift up your arms. You can say lift up your poles. And the poles provide a visual, sensory, auditory, and proprioceptive cue for exercises. And of course, all of that cueing really helps people with Parkinson's with being able to achieve their exercises. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you out and I'm going to, can you guys see me okay? I'm just going to demonstrate some exercises for you. Okay, perfect. So let me just show you some seated exercises. I'm going to just adjust the camera there. Okay, so when you're doing seated exercises, of course, you do need to shorten the height of the poles because we want them to be comfortable for your client to use them in a seated position. So if the poles are too high, your hands are going to be up here. So can you see how it really helps me to have beautiful seated posture while I'm doing exercises? Of course, just some safety tips. You want a sturdy chair, the wall behind you, sturdy shoes, and your poles should be outside your feet, about the same distance as the balls of your feet. And of course, I've got my feet apart about the same distance as my hip. I'm just going to adjust that so you can see my feet a little bit easier while I'm doing some exercises. Okay, and as I was mentioned earlier, they provide, you can visually see the poles, you can feel them in your hands, you can hear them. It gives you a lot of proprioceptive cues about your body and space. And it really helps, I find, with all that cueing to facilitate more movement of the weaker side as well. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let me show you some exercises. How about just getting people to lean forward? I've got the poles out in front, so I get a lot of trunk support. Lean back, lean forward. I can bring that more on the sides. And I can just do much bigger movements in terms of stretching. Lean forward. Okay, and it's just a great tool for adding on new exercises. Let's do some stirring the pot. We're going to start out with stirring the stew, but let's get that up to a witch's brew. I'm doing a lot of weight shifting side to side. Another function movement. Let's pretend we're doing the breaststroke. We're going to lean forward, big open up arms together, leaning forward. Big open up arms. Of course, you're going to modify all of these to your client's ability or what you think their capabilities are, but you can make them much smaller movements. Doing a bit of the breaststroke. Let's do small movements to show you how you can modify it. But of course, if your client is able, you're going to use that pole to maximize their movement ability. And let's look at another functional movement. How we have them do kayaking. That's it. Again, I'm doing a lot of weight shifting side to side. This is, of course, key for balance exercises. I can modify that by going nice and small. Let's do some other full body movements. Let's kick out and bring the poles to the side. Kind of looks a bit like the can. That's it. Okay. And I often get clients just to start off with just using the poles to show how you can improve posture. So a lot of times, you know, our clients have me sit like this with a slouch posture, and I'll start them off by saying, push down on that ledge and bring your chest up, shoulders down. Let's just get you in the proper posture to begin with our seated exercises. And again, slouched, push our chest out, shoulders down, nice and relaxed, but beautiful upright posture. So that just seems to set the tone for how we want our clients to be seen for the rest of the exercise. Now let's just move into showing you some standing exercises. I can start off, I find they've been a great tool with showing sit to stand, where we get people to lean forward, our feet are apart. I might bring my feet back a little bit as well. The poles are out front. And of course, the whole key for a proper sit to stand is that we're shifting our weight forward, so nose past your knees onto the poles. I might have them stand here for a little while for some core strengthening. And next time, let's move up into standing. Okay. Let me show you a few standing exercises. I'm just going to bring this a little bit higher. And of course, for standing, I'm just going to quickly need to adjust my height of my poles back to being a little bit higher. Let's start off again with nice posture. Use the poles, press down on that ledge just to get ourselves in a nice posture. Feet apart. Let's start off with just a little simple weight shifting. Okay. The poles can be further apart if your clients have less balance. Of course, that's going to increase your base of stability. And let's just look at a little bit funner, more exciting exercises, just weight shifting. How about we go out, out, in, out, in, out, in, in. And how about we do a little bit of the hula hoop? Okay, so we're using the poles again. I'm pressing down for a nice posture, for some balance, and hoping that's facilitating some bigger movements. Let's look at a PWR movement. Dr. Becky Farley is a big fan of using walking poles to help facilitate movement. So if any of you have taken PWR, I'm sure you're kind of familiar with the exercise where you reach up to the ceiling and you've got 1 foot off. But we've got the poles. We can see to our client, okay, take your pole, bring it up to the ceiling, and we just have the ability to go much further with having that 1 pole to balance on. Okay, and then we'll just finish off with doing the Charleston. So we can go 1 step. Okay, so hopefully that just gave you a little bit of a sample of how you can use the poles as another tool in your toolbox, or you can do entire sessions with the poles for seated exercises or standing. Just going to show you this video of how a therapist incorporated colored circles, adding sort of a cognitive component to the use of the poles. And again, it makes the exercise less abstract. It's like bringing that pole to the orange circle. Higher intensity exercises in standing. A really fun way I have found to interact with clients is what I would call therapy assist, where you are holding on to the other side and you can really engage the client in terms of maximizing their speed. So you have control of their speed, over their movements. And I have found clients love these exercises because you're really engaging with them and you're moving along with them. So it's just a very active and fun way to interact with your client for exercises. And here's just an example of a group doing a Parkinson's group using the poles. Group situation and beautiful posture, big movements that you saw with a lot of those clients as well. Okay, so we've basically come to the end of our presentation. What I talked to you about was going over some of the research. This is an evidence-based activity. 300 studies, just generally 18 on PubMed, and we've got 18 studies on our activators. So again, if your client wants to use poles just for walking, for rehab, to feel more confident, we're suggesting you use the activator technique. If you're in the early stages of Parkinson's, then where you really want to bring up that intensity,
Mandy, it's freezing up a
your
little
client
bit.
just wants, you know, some people will, oh,
You were freezing up a little bit. It's kind of coming and going. I just wanted you to know.
hear me?
We can hear you. It's kind of making a pinging sound. It's choppy.
Okay, and are other people finding the same thing as well? Yes,
I
we're
think
saying
so,
choppy.
yes. They do have there is a question that popped up. Maybe if you want to at some point talk about your certification program.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. And my apologies. You know what we could do if there is a bad connection is I can record this and provide you guys with another recording that is more clear. So hopefully that will help out. Yeah, I'm sorry, I haven't had this situation happen before. We've lost the connection. I'm not sure.
You're good now. It's very clear
okay.
right now.
Okay. So absolutely, I was just going to talk about the program. So we do have a
It's not clear again. And can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me, but they're very appreciative of a recording, a re-recording.
pricing for FAI. That's great. Let's re-record this instead. I just took off my video to see if that helps out a bit with the, okay. So let me just send you as well. I will send you a link for FAI members to actually take our instructor and activator course. And I want this charity. He walked 500 miles from New York to Toronto using the activator poles. And he also said they were a game changer because they helped to prevent him from falling. And I'm just wanting to, should we just try to still do some questions? So hopefully it'll be in and out, but maybe we can get some couple questions in.
We can try. Does anybody have any questions?
Okay.
Mandy, nothing's coming through.
Oh, I've got here. Okay, let's see if there's any questions.
Try to stop sharing your screen and let's see if the bandwidth improves.
Okay, I've got here, there's some comments. Is that okay if I read out some of the comments?
Of course, yes. Of course,
okay, we got here. I've taken the course, informative and fun. Urban Polling does great follow-up, and Mandy is great. Oh, thank you. Okay, and then someone said, Sherry said, we missed the certification info. Okay, so I'll just repeat, and I believe there may be a follow-up email that will come out with the recording. Why don't I put the link, because the course itself, there is special pricing for FAI members. We have an online course for instructors, and we have an online course for therapists. So we have one that is, that both of them are about 3.5 to 4 hours. And that will actually be on the landing page as well. Okay, and then we've got here, would you recommend for Parkinson's clients who have trouble gripping the poles? Yeah, okay, that's a great question. There are some adaptable grips devices that people can get. And so I know some of the therapists have utilized or have ordered those. One is called Handy Accessories, and one is called Easy Grip. So I can absolutely send a couple resources or names of devices that may be helpful for clients that are having trouble with gripping. Okay. We've got here one from Brenda. It says, not related to parking specifically, but do you find poles are used often for people who have trouble getting up from a chair? Yeah, I mean, a lot of instructors and therapists will do that exercise that I showed you earlier, which is sit to stand, because you can see that that motion of having the poles out front really helps to promote shifting your weight from, your front to the back to the front, landing that, your weight over the foundation of your feet. So absolutely, we've had people use it, and people do use the activator poles inside. So that also, may be a tool that they can have something, within their home, and it just also makes it easier for them to do that transfer. Okay, I've got here, when people are using a walker, can they still use the poles? So, if someone's using a walker, that's a great question. There's a couple things. First of all, I would suggest that you do have that assessed by the therapist, but they could use them for seated exercises, standing exercises with the wall behind them or your assistants. And then maybe just, discuss with the therapist whether they think you could use it for walking as well. Certainly maybe indoor walking with your supervision would be a good way to start, but definitely have them assessed for that outdoor walking. And I see you've got here, what are your thoughts about using the poles in the airport? Oh, great question. We get asked that a lot. So basically, in the 16 years we've had our company, we've never had a situation where if the person is using the poles as if they, instead of using a cane or a walker, we've never had them take it away from them and they've been able to walk through security. However, if you're just carrying the poles in your hand and they can see that you can walk, that would be considered to be something that has to be in your luggage. You just can't carry it in as as hiking poles or as fitness poles. So we have had a couple situations when people were carrying them where they were asked to pack them away into their luggage. So the poles do collapse, so they can easily go into the luggage if the person doesn't want to go up to them. Okay, we've got here, wrap it up in 2 to 3 minutes. Yes, okay. Just want to say thank you so much, everyone. And sorry, we've got here another question. Are we able to purchase the different tips? Yes, absolutely. You can interchange the tips. So the activator comes with the bell-shaped tip, but if you want your client to do the urban polling technique, you can just switch that off. And same with the other urban poles, you can switch on to the bell-shaped tips. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. And again, my apologies for the internet, but hopefully I'll re-record this. We'll send you a recording and I'll add on that information about the devices for if people have poor grip strength or about the course itself.
Mandy, you did a great job. I feel like 95% of your presentation went really well. There was a little bit of stutter and disconnect at the end with your internet. That was it.
Okay.
Otherwise,
okay. Good.
Very informative, very good. If there's any more questions, we're still okay. Let's see. It says, just tried going to your website to shop the page and it doesn't load.
Oh my goodness, we're having IT issues all around here.
All over the place. Okay.
Try it again. Can I just ask I will definitely call our office to find out that that should definitely not be happening. I'm not sure why. Yeah, could you try that again a little bit later? I should mention to you too, is that for polls, we do sell to FAI members at wholesale or professional pricing. So let me put in right away the email for how to access professional or wholesale pricing. And that is Deanna or Diana, DIANA at urbanpolling.com or info at urbanpolling.com. And you can find out about professional pricing. Someone's got here, my mom uses the activator poles and she loves them. Oh, thank you. And again, you guys put the email. So again, if you can't read the chat one, yep, info at urbanpolling.com. If you have any questions as well, just from the presentation, I'll just give you my email. It's Mandy with a Y at urbanpolling.com. So I answer more of the questions related to just your own practice or, how you use it in your fitness business, whereas Deanna can help you out in terms of accessing the wholesale pricing.
Also, most of you are probably familiar. You can save the chat. In the message box, there's 3 little dots. And if you just click on those dots, there's an option to save the chat. And you can save these email addresses easily.
Okay, great. And sorry, I just saw that you put in my email, but it's actually Mandy with a Y.
Oh, I should have known that.
No
okay,
problem.
I'm going to put it in one more time. Mandy.
Okay, great. Oh, thank you, everyone. I really enjoyed doing that session today.
Okay. Mandy, keep up the good work. We need this information and we just thank you so, so much. Is there any just last minute questions?
No, I would just say one of the most important ways that you can convince your clients to use the polls. First of all, I think if you use them yourself and try it out so you can feel the benefits, you're a great role model for your own clients. But second of all, I find most clients, it's when they get the polls in their hands and they actually see the results that people get super excited. And one thing for Parkinson's is that for some of them, the changes will literally be immediate. Not for all. For some of them, it takes 12 weeks. It takes your guidance and work absolutely for, balance. But for some of them, they'll notice immediately, I'm moving my arms more. My stride's a bit bigger. My posture's better. So it's quite fulfilling, I think, for a fitness instructor or therapist when they start using it, because it is something that people can see right away that it's made their walking ability better and that they feel more confident. So someone just got here. My mom shuffle walks, but with the poles, she actually strides. Oh, excellent. And then Ken just got here. I tried the urban poles and it's a much greater workout than I expected. Oh, perfect. So absolutely, for those in the earlier stages, I think you'll be quite surprised by the speed that you can go and how it just builds up that cardiovascular workout.
Mandy, in the certification, my question is, does the certification give us ideas to how to do group type training sessions using the urban pools?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or whatever. We're South Texas, we're on the coast, we're on the beach.
Yeah, so the one thing that's really neat is that in the course, I will just go in a lot more detail about how to do those two different techniques. When would you use them? We'll show you a ton of different exercises, but actually how to set up a group. Like, how do you safely bring out a group of people who have Parkinson's? Like, what are the things that you need to be aware of and to plan for? And how do you run an indoor seated and standing exercise program in a safe and effective manner? So all of those things we will go on in quite a bit of detail. It's a very practical course. It's meant for you to be able to take the course and then be able to implement it for individual sessions or group sessions. And again, for polling, but also for the seated and standing. So lots of different options that you can use it. And just the way that you can add it in as another tool in your toolbox.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? Anything else? All right, well, Mandy, thank you again so very much. Be sure to copy the chat, those of you who want those email addresses, and it's Mandy with a Y, not Mandy with an I. And enjoy the rest of the summit. Coming on next there'll be a break this is Eastern time, 2:45 to 3 p.m. And then the next breakout sessions begin at 3 p.m. until 4:15. Okay, Mandy, is there anything else?
No, that's great. I just put on our website, which is
I see that.
urbanpolling.com, because the courses will be listed there and under education. But again, probably best to wait for the recording, in which I will give you the direct landing page for the FAI. Or you can email us and we will send you the FAI page to register with $75 off the courses.
Oh, that's very generous.
Oh, and
Thank
actually,
you
sorry,
so much.
one person's actually already put the landing page here, so that if you want to just grab and paste that landing page, that will actually talk to you both about the wholesale pricing, but also the course right there. So Kendra has
Perfect.
found that link and she has posted to everyone. I'll do that again. Okay, great. Well, thanks so much, everyone. Take care. And I hope
All right,
you enjoy the rest of your sessions.
I might
Bye-bye.
have to take the host back from you.
Oh,
Let's
okay,
see.
sure.
Not sure. Can you pass it back? I'm not sure if I can take it. You may have to pass it back to me.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, perfect. Now I can stop the recording.
Okay,
Okay, thank
great.
you, Mandy.
Okay, thanks a lot.
so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.